JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today with another episode of Understanding Thyself. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about building self-belief. So, what is the process of building self-belief? How do we build self-belief? And what are some of the pitfalls that we might come across when trying to build and cultivate our self-belief and sort of overcome self-doubt and negative thought patterns and negative narratives? So, to start off, a key thing to understand is that self-belief, isn't something external from ourselves. So we don't have to go out there and find self-belief in the context of this isn't something that, we don't inherently have within ourselves, It's sort of like self-belief is something we all have. But a really key thing to understand about self-belief is it is very, very heavily reliant on past experience and on the narratives that we create about the problems or the situations that we are going through in life or things that we are trying to do or accomplish. So, in any moment of life, you have as much self-belief, even in your worst days, in your lowest moments, you have the same amount of self-belief as you would if you were, succeeding, or if you had succeeded in every aspect of life that you've ever dreamt of. So that's an important thing to understand, is that it's already within us, but the trap is that a lot of the narratives and beliefs we hold do tend to lower our feeling that we have self-belief. Getting stuck in negative thought patterns of, I can't do this because of this, I can't do this because of that. Like let's take, for example, if you're trying to, say start a business and you're sort of in an industry or an area that you're not overly familiar with and you haven't really done it too much before. We all tend to look at other people and say, oh, I can't do this, they could do it, but they had something that I don't, or I don't have what it takes. And that's a really, really bad thing, to fall into that negative thought pattern where we're comparing our progress or ourselves to other people and then sort of just dismissing the inherent power that we all have within ourselves. So it's really important, throughout my life, I've always enjoyed pushing myself and learning new things and sort of putting myself into really uncomfortable situations where I feel, that insecurity that I don't know anything, that insecurity that, I'm in uncharted waters. And the reason for this, for me, in really enjoying this, is because I enjoy that feeling, because overcoming that feeling gives us so much confidence. But even in my own life, with everything, I have personally achieved for and with myself, I still find myself falling into these traps where it's like, when doing new things, maybe I should just copy other people instead of figuring it out for myself. And that's one of the big traps that people will mislead us about, is they will tell us that it's okay to copy other people, which it's not a bad thing to copy other people, but just know this: if you copy someone else to achieve your success, you haven't really achieved success, because without that other person, what can you do? Like, You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm saying go out there and figure out how to become a mechanic without any understanding. But it's like we have to build that self-confidence within ourselves and that self-belief that, hey, if there's a problem, I can troubleshoot it and sort of work through that problem by trial and error until I reach, the goal or the understanding or the achievement of fixing it. So it's a funny thing because in my own life, like right now I'm, becoming I will be the leading personal development coach in the world within 5 years. Like that's just that. Like there is no other option. And you could say I'm delusional, and this is one thing I struggled with, thinking that I was delusional because other people said I was delusional. But I'm not delusional, I just don't have fear. I know that if I sit with a situation or I sit in an environment for long enough, I will understand every aspect of that environment because every day I will push and progress until I reach my goal. There is no giving up, there is no quitting. And, it took me a very, very long time to be able to, one, articulate this, but also to understand it within myself so that in times of need where I feel self-doubt, where I feel low, where I feel like maybe I can't, to be able to have that narrative consciously ingrained into my mind to where I can engage that narrative of, well, I may feel insecure now, but if I sit with it for 1, 2, 3 years, insecurity won't exist within me. And that's a very important thing, is that for me personally, the power of self-belief is the conscious understanding of how self-belief works. That self-belief is just thought patterns and narratives of when I think or feel, doubt or less than, or, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm able to consciously change that narrative, change that language, and really just reinforce it to the point where I'm not actually delusional, I just don't have fear. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid of sucking. I enjoy sucking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with starting at the bottom and staying at the bottom until I progress. Like, that's okay. That does not bother me. Because I know from past experiences of working out, and bodybuilding, that if I just go there every day and I do 3 to 4 times the amount of work as other people, I will always get the results. It doesn't matter what I think or feel. If I just do the work, the results will come. Like it's not a mystery. It's not something that is hidden or saved only for the lucky and the talented in the world. Like, basically, regardless of whatever you do in life, if you put the effort in to learn, adapt, and overcome day in and day out consistently, like, you will develop and build such character within yourself that no, insurmountable task is impossible, that no mountain cannot be climbed. Like, if you want to climb the mountain, it's one step at a time. If you want to run up the mountain, that's great, but the likelihood that you fall is quite high. So just understanding that allows me to sort of, as I call it within myself, it's the push. It's where we put our head down and we just push. So how I like to visualize it is there's 2 or 3 blokes against me, okay, and they're using all their might to push me back, and my only option is to put my head down and to just start stomping my legs and pushing forward. with everything I have. Regardless of how exhausted I feel, regardless of anything, I just keep pushing forward. Nothing can stop me. They may have more strength than me. They may have, more weight than me. But they will not break my spirit. I will keep pushing forward. Every time I fall down, I will get back up, reposition, and keep pushing forward. The thing is they may in the short term knock me down 100 times, but I know within myself they will become exhausted before I become exhausted. And that's sort of like having these stories and these knowings and ways of describing situations to yourself. Like, I find that very comforting in helping me visualize what I'm about to go through. As Alex Hormozi or something like that, I can never say his name right, but as he says, he realized that uncomfortable feeling is what hard feels like. You know what I mean? So when we feel insecure, when we feel less than, when we feel like we're failing, welcome to difficulty. That is what hard feels like. And if you can sort of grasp that concept and feel it emotionally, what will happen is you'll get the power of it that it's okay. It's okay, if I'm pushing with everything that I have and I'm only getting inches, that's okay. You know what I mean? That is what hard feels like. Like, it's not this big bad thing that's destroying you. It's just life's hard when you're pushing for what you want. So why give up when you feel insecure or you feel that resistance, from life or the universe? You know what I mean? Because there's no point ever giving up, or at least for me, there's no point giving up, because I know the truth, which is if we never give up, we always succeed. No matter the distance, no matter the challenge, anyone who tells you that if you consistently persist, you will fail is lying through their teeth, because they have never done in their life. You don't need to copy other people to succeed. All you need to do is push forward, have a direction, and keep going. And this is self-belief. Self-belief is knowing that if I feel like I'm failing, it's not that I need a new plan, it's not that I need a new direction. No, I just need to suck it up and keep pushing forward, and just continue to push forward, not for any specific distance or time, but until the required work is done. And you'll know the required work is done when success is felt. And it's a funny thing, because a year ago, I didn't understand self-belief like this. A year ago, I didn't understand, how to push past that pain. You know what I mean? It's easy in the gym to push past the pain because the pain is physical. But when the pain is emotional and mental, that's when it's difficult. When the pain is our deepest, darkest insecurities, that is when it becomes immensely difficult. Because when I'm only pushing through what is easy in life, I become acclimatized or accustomed to that light resistance. So if I should face further resistance in life, or more difficult resistance, or more intense resistance, what will happen is I will always crumble, break, and buckle under the pressure, because it is insurmountable against the easy way. So I always have a saying, and that's do what's hard until what's hard becomes easy, and then life becomes effortless. If you continually push through what you perceive to be your most insurmountable obstacle, at some point in time, that obstacle will become effortless. It will become easy. And then pushing through any obstacle or any challenge becomes effortless in life because you've realized the truth. And the truth is, forward motion, okay, persistence and consistency is all that is required. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every week. You don't need to reinvent yourself every week to succeed in whatever you want to succeed in life. All you need to do is put your head down, okay? Imagine there's three guys in front of you that are pushing resistance against you, and just keep pushing. And regardless of how exhausted you feel, just know that voice that tells you to give up is a bitch. That is the bitch inside your mind that keeps you stuck. Or at least that's how I see it. And that's what gives me comfort and the ability to fail until I succeed. And that's a funny thing, because the self-doubt is always going to come. The self-doubt will always be there. The self-doubt isn't ever gonna go away. It never will. It's just we start to see it for what it is, an illusion. That self-doubt is just a voice in my head that doesn't want to do the hard work, that wants to give up, that wants to find the easy way to my goal. And if I listen to that voice in my head, I will always be weak, because that is the voice in my head that says you don't need to go and train hard every day. You can train softly. You know what I mean? You don't need to put in all that work. Look at the others. They don't put in as much work. And I always tell that voice, if I listen to you, I will be a fat boy bitch. I don't want to be a fat boy bitch. So I'm going to push harder and faster every time you raise your voice to me. Every time you raise an illusion, every time you bring self-doubt to me, I will push harder and faster. I will break you in my work ethic. I will break you in my relentless drive to succeed. And that's an important thing for me, is in fighting it, is that voice is failure. That voice is the battle of life. The battle of life isn't external to ourselves. The battles of life are internal. They're in our mind. You know, when we feel like giving up, when we feel like quitting, when we feel like we can't do or push anymore, when we feel like, you know, we might not make it, that we might not, you know, have the strength, have the ability, we mightn't be good enough. Like, the only way to break that voice is through work and effort. You know what I mean? Like, the only way that I have found to really push past my perceived limitations in life is by ignoring that voice and just becoming ignorant to what it says. You know what I mean? And it's a very, very interesting thing for me, because like so much of my life I was 50-50. In some things I was able to push through, in other things I would crumble in the first, you know, the opening seconds. It's sort of like, an analogy I'll give is that, like, the battles aren't won on the battlefield. The battles are won, you know, prior to the battle beginning, in the training, in, you know, in the pushing ourselves to become our best, in the pushing ourselves to really push further than we thought we could in our training. Like if we're doing no work prior to what we're trying to achieve, you know what I mean? Like if we're not doing the work every week, if we're not in there training, if we're not in there, grinding it out, so to speak,